Hey, Kaz Wonderful here again with another wrestling review. This time it's NXT UK from August 11th, 2022, recorded at the BT Sports Studio in London, England. So after 2 straight weeks of disappointing main events, in my opinion, as a lot of other people like the one 2 weeks ago, but I just couldn't buy that Ilya Dragunov was hurt that bad with his back and still able to lift up Wolfgang and all that stuff. But I did say during that review, maybe it was really hurt, which we did find out he was really hurt. That one has an excuse, but there was no excuse for last week after the broken ankle of Ilya. That's a good excuse, and it was a sad moment. Opened last week's episode of NXT UK with Ilya Dragunov forced to vacate the title due to breaking his ankle. So there's no timetable for Ilya's return. Tonight, there will be 2 first-round matches in an 8-man tournament to crown the new NXT UK champion. But coming off of last week's really disappointing main event, it was scheduled to be NXT UK women's title match, Mako Satomura defending against Saray. Instead, we got Blair Davenport coming out just simply saying, "Oh, you're not getting the main event because of me. We never once got to see Saray or it's not like we checked in the trainers room to see if they're all right. There was no other officials that talked about it. So last week was very, very disappointing about not having Mako Satomura versus Saray. If it was a travel issue or something like that, then just tell us, oh, Saray couldn't make it to this match. But we were building up that match for an entire month, and it just doesn't happen. Instead, we got a really bad match between Blair Davenport and Isla Dawn, which didn't even have a clear winner, as Emil and Eliza Alexander interrupted the match, and that's how last week ended. Very disappointingly. I know a lot of people were really looking forward to that Mako Satomura Saray match, and that they were hyping for about a month, and they even had a press conference for the week before. Um, just ridiculous. So anyway, we do have a tournament to look forward to, but I was not as excited to watch this week's NXT UK after I've been pretty excited to watch every episode for at least over a month now. So let's see if it was better this week, and maybe we'll get an explanation as to why the scheduled main event from last week did not happen. This week's episode starts with Oliver Carter. Comes out the massive cheers here. Oliver Carter is limping severely with an injured knee after getting a 3-on-1 beatdown from Di Familia. Last week, Oliver Carter beat Rohan Raja, and now Oliver gets the chance to beat all 3 members of Di Familia in a row in singles matches, this time with a chance at the NXT UK men's title on the line, as this is a first-round tournament match. But of course, Oliver's definitely going to have a tough time tonight with his knee injury coming into the match. NXT management did him no favors. They did add him to the tournament, but there's 2 other first-round matches next week. Oliver should have been given one of those after getting beat down. He didn't injure himself severely this bad in the match. It was after the match, so no love shown from the NXT management. Anyway, hopefully Oliver can wrestle a tournament match the very next week. Even like I said, he could have had it last week. So anyway, Oliver comes out with a pre-taped picture-in-picture interview that says, Oliver says, my knee might not be 100% yet, but the idea of becoming the hottest NXT UK champion under the sun sounds delicious. Let's go. So out next is his opponent, Charlie Dempsey, accompanied by the other 2 D Familia members, Rohan Raja and Teoman. So in a pre-taped picture-in-picture, Charlie Dempsey says, Oliver Carter showed nothing but disrespect for D Familia, and I'm going to pay that respect back tonight, finishing him off once and for all. Then I'll win the NXT UK championship. So this should be an interesting match here with Oliver coming in with a severe knee injury. Oliver does the smart thing with his back against the wall, having a knee injury and 2 guys on the outside of the ring. Oliver attacks all 3 of them during their introduction. Some might call that cheating, but under these circumstances, it's just a smart move in my opinion. So Oliver gets the jump on them right away here and starts the official match with strikes, but Dempsey strikes right back. Oliver has a lot of fight in him and continues the fight back, sending Dempsey out of the ring, then hitting a plancha to the outside, crushing Dempsey and landing on him and instead of the bad knee. So nothing bad with the knee so far. Back in the ring, Dempsey throws Oliver hard into the turnbuckle, flipping Oliver upside down here. That was a huge shot. His knee hit first on the turnbuckle. Now Dempsey goes to work on the bad knee with Oliver down, but Oliver is able to get back to his feet. Dempsey takes him right back down, picking the leg nicely, then applying a hammerlock on the knee. Oliver now tries to basically just a knee bar. Oliver tries to kick free, but Dempsey is able to turn Oliver's able to turn onto his front, and Dempsey looks to turn it into an STF now, but Oliver is able to escape. Maybe even have been a Regal stretch there. I know Regal is a big proponent of Charlie Dempsey. So Oliver tries the springboard move now, but that was a terrible idea. His knee gives way, and he comes crashing to the mat without Dempsey doing anything. Now Dempsey goes back to work on the knee, applying a deathlock on the legs of Carter. Oliver's definitely in big trouble now, in a lot of pain. Dempsey now hits a Northern Lights suplex with a bridging pin, only for a 2 count. Oliver's going to need a miracle to win the match at this point. And even if he does win, the damage might be too much for the next round as well. Oliver's just barely able to block a knee bar from being applied now, but Oliver can't get off the mat. Dempsey goes for the knee bar again, getting it locked in this time. Oliver tries to strike his way free, but Dempsey hits big punches in response. Oliver hits a few strikes and is able to break the hold. Dempsey applies a stretch muffler across the leg now, aka the Brock lock here, but Oliver strikes his way out again. Dempsey then ducks underneath an enziguri kick, and Dempsey hits a nasty dragon suplex with a bridging pin. Oliver's just barely able to kick out of 2, getting destroyed here by Charlie Dempsey. Oliver now fights out of a Fujiwara armbar and hits some attacks on Dempsey. Oliver's knee gives out, but he's able to get up and deliver a rock bottom here for a 2 count. Dempsey applies a chin lock right after he kicked out, however, and Oliver is able to stay in control by but then instinctually just tries to leapfrog over Dempsey on the landing. His knees super hurt, so Oliver fights off a knee bar again, then hits a nice looking front flip kick. That was awesome. Oliver's now able to back out of a move while avoiding here, and Dempsey hits a nasty dragon screw leg hook on the bad knee. Oliver is in big trouble, but he's able to roll up Dempsey out of a submission hold here, getting the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Oliver Carter. Wow, really good match here. Oliver has now defeated all 3 members of D Familia in a row in singles matches and has shown a ton of fight to keep fighting through this match. This was definitely a better way to fight back from injury while still looking believable, which I felt was the problem in the Elia match. But I'll stop talking about that one because he ended up getting a real part of my problem about the Elia match 2 weeks ago was that it looks like he was in too much. He was selling too much, and that's because he wasn't selling. He was literally in pain because his ankle broke in half. So that's probably the last I'll speak about that because I mean it had the legit excuse, but this was really done correctly. This is how you do an injury angle. This was nice. Oliver getting the big win here. I know there's probably some D Familia fans out there that are like, what is going on? So we'll just have to wait and see. Now Oliver Carter's defeated all 3 men, and we don't know. We were never told how serious the Ashton Smith injury is, but if it's not too bad, it might be time to return fairly soon. Otherwise, we'll have to see what Oliver Carter does. Of course, he'll go in the semifinals, meeting the winner of tonight's main event, which is Trent Seven or Wolfgang. So those 2 will fight in the main event later on tonight, and that's who Oliver will meet in the semifinals. Whoever wins tonight's main event gets a very wounded Oliver Carter in the semifinals. So now we see the main event match from last week where after the main event match, it's in the back. Blair Davenport is mad, and she's being chased around by Emil, Isla Dawn, and Eliza Alexander, with officials trying to keep them all apart from brawling. Sid is there as well, trying to calm everyone down. Eventually, officials are able to get all 4 women to go separate directions. Isla has a mental breakdown here, and then we go to a commercial break. Nothing much to say about that. It just reminds me of how mad I was about the main event last week. But we do find out a little bit more about these women later on. One of the ads on Peacock during this commercial break was actually a cartoon pubic hair singing. I'm not even joking about that. Anyway, moving quickly along from that, we return to NXT UK and we see Tyler Bate entering the UK Performance Center. Then the male voice behind the camera asks Bate how's he been and why is he here since his tournament match is next week. Tyler Bate says, well, you're right. I don't have a match, but there's one match I'm here to see. Then Sid interrupts Tyler and Sid says, well, I'm aware of your feelings. I understand, but this tournament is important to me and Mr. Saint, and I want to ask you sincerely, please do not get involved in Trent Seven's match tonight. So Tyler says, Sid, man, you know me. I would never do such a thing, but I'm coming for that title regardless. I know nothing would get under Trent's skin more than me walking away with the NXT UK championship. So now Tyler Bate leaves and the segment ends. So everything definitely seems to be setting up for a Trent 7 Tyler Bate Mustache Mountain Explode tournament finals. But we'll see on later on tonight in the main event if Trent can even get out of the first round. He's got a big time test if he can get past Wolfgang. But if he does get past Wolfgang, there is a wounded Oliver Carter only standing between him and the finals. But Wolfgang, don't underestimate him. He just took Ilya Dragunov to the limit just 2 weeks ago, injuring Ilya to set up this entire match to begin with. But now we've got a match in the women's division. Still no word about Miko and Saray and their scheduled title match from last week that we set up for an entire month and had a press conference for. But anyway, Eliza Alexander's out here for a match, and I can never quite tell if she's never mind. I'm not even going to say that. But she does make some good heel facial expressions here. No Zaya Brookside tonight. Eliza comes out alone, and her opponent will be Chase U's newest student, Thea Hale, who we saw last week accompany Bodie Hayward to his match, where Bodie lost to Shaw Samuels last week. After that, Thea Hale was confronted by Eliza Alexander in the locker room, where Eliza took her anger out about all the American women coming to NXT UK, taking spots from people like herself. Thea didn't really seem to care about any of this until Eliza started bad-mouthing Chase U. That's what got Thea angry, and that set up this match tonight. So 18-year-old Thea Hale comes out accompanied by her Chase U roommate, Bodie Hayward, and her Chase U teacher, Andre Chase. So this should be an interesting match. We just saw Thea Hale on NXT 2.0 this last week. She was also on Level Up. So this will be, in a week's time, 3 matches on TV for the 18-year-old Thea Hale, who's still very experienced, of course, only being 18, but she's got some really, really good moves and shows a lot of fire in the ring. Unfortunately, Thea's about to start real life college, and NXT is going to allow her to do college and train at the Performance Center on her days off. I don't know how that schedule is going to entail that, but all summer long before that, Thea's really been featured a lot, and she's really been impressing, especially when you consider she's only 18 years old. But that hopefully doesn't slow her down too much with college starting in the next couple weeks for the fall semester. We'll have to see how that goes. Thea comes out high energy as usual. She's got a scrappy dog, let me at him, Scrappy Doo type character, let me at him, Scoob. As JD from Alexander always says about Butch, it's basically the same character as Butch, just the baby face version. So anyway, Eliza doesn't know what to think of Thea's antics here, and Eliza's going to come into this match with a big time size, strength, and experience advantage, but Thea Hale will have the speed, agility, and fighting spirit advantage, in my opinion. Eliza doesn't show much fighting spirit. So both women are out wearing red. Eliza didn't have another color to wear because Thea always wears red. So that's a little weird. I hate when they all are wearing the same colors. You know, Eliza has a different color back there. Anyway, Eliza starts this match strong by getting a go behind and hitting Thea right in the back, but Thea hits a T. Harris and a Casadora Mexican arm drag right after that. Really good show of lucha skills from the young Thea Hale. I know she's from Pittsburgh, but she must have had a luchador in her training. Really good moves here from a non-luchador from an 18-year-old. That's really good lucha moves there. Eliza then overpowers another Casadora attempt, and then Thea hits a flying forearm. Eliza throws Thea by her hair, and then the crowd boos and hates on Eliza big time. Thea now reverses the next attack with a roll-up for a 2 count. Eliza keeps control by hitting a snap suplex. Eliza pulls the hair some more, helping her apply a camel clutch. The much smaller Thea Hale here is in trouble and stuck in the middle of the ring, but the tiny Thea Hale has the strength to get up with Eliza on her back, then jumping backwards, slamming Eliza down hard. Thea then hits a flying forearm, an enziguri kick, and a nice flipping neck breaker. Really good flurry from Thea, who's so advanced for her age. Eliza now blocks the standing moonsault with her knees. Big moment of the match there, because Eliza just hits a Claymore kick after blocking the standing moonsault. The Claymore kick gets Eliza the 1-2-3. The winner of this match by pinfall is Eliza Alexander. Really, really good match here. Both women are every single woman we've seen come from NXT 2.0 to NXT UK all have the best match of their WWE careers each time. We saw it with Fallon Henley, we saw it with Saray, and now again with Thea Hale. So it's really good to see all these women come in and have their best matches of their career. It really tells you about the system they've got going on over here at NXT UK and the way they set up their matches, and B, really tells you that there is some great talent on this NXT UK women's roster. The fact that all these women from NXT UK can come over here, have the best matches of their career, really tells you how much further along the women's division in UK is over the much less experienced women's division of the NXT 2K 2.0. So it is definitely interesting. Now we've seen 3 women have the best matches of their career over the past 2 months here in NXT UK. So hopefully the excursions continue. I know storyline wise, Eliza and people are like they're taking our spots, but really it is helping the women's division even here in NXT UK as well. So you love to see it. Eliza really doesn't celebrate this win too much. You know, she almost got beat by a rookie, but the win will keep Eliza in the hunt for the number 1 contendership. Speaking of the number 1 contendership, Emil is in the back now, about to be interviewed by the mysterious woman's voice behind the camera, but Nina Samuels comes in and tells the camera lady to shut up, and that this is going to be another edition of the Nina Samuels show. So Nina says to Emil, you must be embarrassed about your loss to Blair Davenport, and you've proven that you're no hope to the French whatsoever. So of course Emil gets mad here and says, I don't care if it's Isla, Eliza, Blair, or you. I'm prepared to go through anyone to get the NXT Women's Championship. So as Mel leaves, then Nina makes funny faces weirdly as we go to an ad break. So when we come back, the Chase U fight song is playing, and we get a little video segment with Chase U. We're at the tail end of an Andre Chase teaching a class here. Bodie Hayward and Thea Hale are here along with some random English people. And all we hear Chase say is, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we don't spell color with the letter U, which is a funny little American UK joke there. Now Eddie Dennis comes in and he starts yelling at Andre Chase about not being accredited, and that Dennis is also a teacher as well, and Dennis makes fun of Bodie Hayward for being a Neanderthal and how Chase took him under his wing. And so Chase tells Eddie Dennis, well, if you think it's so easy, why don't you take that guy under your wing? And then we go to the back of the class, and there's an actual Neanderthal in the class eating meat with his hands. And then the segment ends with Eddie Dennis looking worried. So that was completely weird, random, and awesome. I cannot wait to see what Eddie Dennis does with this Neanderthal who just like is back there eating meat like a savage. That sounds like some funny segments in the coming weeks. So now we go back to the ring. Making his way to the ring for the next match is Teoman, and he's accompanied by Rohan Raja. Of course, Charlie Dempsey in the back after his match earlier. So Teoman is looking to get D Familia out of their big time losing ways here after losing 4 straight. Last week, we saw Sam Gradwell talking trash to Teoman about not being able to do anything by himself without D Familia's help. So now they'll have a match tonight, Teoman and Sam Gradwell. So we'll see if Teoman wants to try and win this one alone after what Sam said, or is Teoman just going to double down and use Rohan for help here? Sam Gradwell now comes out the big cheers. He's now taken over the new role of locker room leader with Mustache Mountain broken up and now Ilya Dragunov out injured. Sam starts this match with a headlock using his massive size and power advantage here. Sam hits some big punches and a scoop slam, but Teoman counters the next attack. Sam clotheslines him out of the ring anyway. So then Raja gets right in the way, allowing Teoman to take control. So there's our answer. Teoman was always going to use the help from De Familia. So Teoman now goes on the attack back in the ring, applying a hold, but Sam uses his power to get right out. Teoman then hits a massive forearm here, wrecking Sam's neck. Teoman then applies a hammerlock clutch, but Sam is able to get out, hitting a forearm. Then Teoman maintains wrist control, but Sam just throws him high in the air, crashing him down to the mat hard. So Teoman then rakes the eyes to avoid the next attack, and Raja attacks Sam from behind the referee's back here. Teoman now hits a sliding forearm, but Sam is able to kick out. Sam then blocks an evil eye attempt and counters a charging Teoman with a back body drop. Sam's in pain here, but he blocks the next 2 attacks and hits a big running forearm and then a nice looking butterfly suplex. That was pretty good from Sam. Teoman's now in trouble, so he distracts the referee, and Raja throws Sam off the top rope, but the referee either saw it or knows that Raja did it. Raja gets ejected here. Now Sam uses his knee brace to hit a nasty knee strike, knocking Teoman out. Sam just picks up the dead body of Teoman, hitting the Falcon Arrow for the 1-2-3. the winner of this match by pinfall, Sam Gradwell. I like the story they told in this match for sure. The fact that Teoman is indeed always going to use the help, but in the end, it did not help him win this match. But wow, the other story here, 5 big losses for D Familia in a row. They lost the tag title match where Mustache Mountain lost the titles to Oliver Carter and Ashton Smith. Then they lost 3 straight singles matches to Oliver Carter, and now the leader of D Familia, Teoman, losing to Sam Gradwell. They are not in a good way. It's 5 big losses for D Familia in a row. Where do they go from here? We don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what they do next. Meanwhile, Sam Gradwell is in really good form. Unfortunately for him, he was not invited to the NXT UK tournament. So he's looking confident, and he's going to have a lot to prove to the management that they should have picked him to be some of the top 8. How does someone like a Kenny Williams get into the tournament over me? He's definitely going to be mad about that. So in the back now, we see Wolfgang getting ready to come out for tonight's main event. We also see Trent Seven getting ready for the main event, a big first round match in the NXT Men's Championship tournament after Ilya Dragunov unfortunately breaking his ankle and having to vacate the title last week. But before we get to that, we're in Sid's office where he's got the NXT UK Heritage Cup champion Mark Coffey. All of a sudden, Noam Dar bursts into the room and gets super happy with a cheesy smile when he sees that Mark Coffey is here. Noam Dar says, "Did you tell him the news? Does he know? Where's the paperwork? I'll sign it right now." And Sid says, "Noam, look, I received your letters, the thousands of emails, all of your texts about this rematch." And Noam says, No, they're not from me. They're from the fans, my millions of Supernova fans. But the fact does remain that I'm the greatest Heritage Cup champion of all time, and I deserve a rematch." So Mark Coffey says, "Look, mate, I get it. The way I see it, it's 1 apiece. You want to make it 2 out of 3? That's fine. Sid, do your thing. Make the match." And Sid says, "I'll do everything in my power to make this happy and happen." And Noam leaves happy. And then we go to an ad break. So that should be a good match. The last one was definitely really good. I doubt Noam Dar is going to win the cup right back, but you never know. There is still the idea floating around that Joe Coffey might not be exactly friendly with his brother Mark, and that could be a reason for Mark to lose the cup already. We'll just have to wait and see. They haven't told us when that match will be, and at this point, I don't have trust with the NXT UK management that matches are actually going to happen after last week's debacle with Saray and Mako. So now, we do know that Joe Coffey is going to be distracted because he's busy with the tournament. Next week, we will see the other 2 first-round matches. It'll be Joe Coffey against Mark Andrews. And the other tournament match, it'll be Tyler Bate taking on Kenny Williams, who, again, probably should not have been invited. Kenny Williams lost his last match to Tiger Turan. How did Tiger Turan not make the tournament? So some of the selections in this tournament definitely did not make sense. They didn't explain it at all either. So anyway, when we return from the ad break, Wolfgang's now making his entrance for the main event. And in a picture-in-picture video, Wolfgang says 2 weeks ago, Wolfgang proved to the entire WWE universe that the Tsar is merely human. Now the stars have aligned and Wolfgang has another opportunity to become the NXT UK champion. So the crowd is cheering here loudly for Wolfgang. The crowd will be 100% behind him tonight against public enemy number 1, Trent Seven. So Wolfgang is still beat up from his big title match with Ilya 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, Trent Seven comes into this match not really taking too much damage lately. Trent comes out next, and the crowd absolutely hates him for his recent actions and words. In a picture-in-picture video, Trent says, "We are here at the BT Sports studio, ready to crown a new NXT UK champion." A brand new champion. That's exactly the reason why I got rid of Tyler Bate, for opportunities like this to finally stand atop the mountain as the savior of British sport. Most men look focused in this big, both men, this is me talking now. Both men look focused for this big tournament match. The crowd chants, "You sold out," and they change it into a "hoo-ah, yeah, hoo-ah, yeah." Really funny there. I always love that chant. Anyway, these two, Wolfgang and Trent Seven, did meet in the quarterfinals of the original tournament to crown the first ever NXT UK champion all the way back in 2017. Wolfgang won that match, but then Tyler Bate would go on to beat Wolfgang in the semifinals and Pete Dunne in the finals to become the first ever NXT UK champion. Wolfgang starts this match strong, but Trent gets to the ropes to stave off the attack right away. Trent goes to the ropes a second time after they reset, tries to get a cheap shot on Wolfgang after the rope break, but Wolfgang sees it coming and applies a headlock. Trent gets out, but Wolfgang hits a shoulder tackle. Trent then gets out of a slam here, but Wolfgang hits a hip toss and an arm drag, keeping control of the arm here and applying a hammerlock. Then they get to their feet. Wolfgang attacks the arm a little further here, then hits an arm drag. Back to their feet now, and Trent gets to the ropes again. This time his sneak attack after the rope break works. I don't know why it would work the second time when he saw it coming the first time, but that's neither here nor there. Now Trent knocks Wolfgang out of the ring, but Wolfgang drags him out there with him, slamming Trent into the barricade. Wolfgang goes on top of the barricade, looking to hit a big move here, but Trent stops that, pulling Wolfgang hard, crashing him into the ribs first here on the barricade. Keep that in mind. That's a big moment in this match. Wolfgang just hurt his ribs really bad on that barricade, crashing down from it, trying to do a move off of it. Back in the ring now, Trent applies a few holds in the middle of the ring, working on the arms and back of Wolfgang, and also those ribs that just got hurt, who Wolfgang is finding it hard to escape here, but eventually Wolfgang gets to his feet, lifts Trent up, but his back and / ribs give way here. Trent is able to get down and hit a DDT. Then Trent attacks the back and ribs further, looking for a 7-star lariat now, but Wolfgang counters that into a German suplex. But that did also hurt Wolfgang's ribs as well. Wolfgang then goes up to the top rope, hitting a standing axe handle, followed by a scoop slam and a sliding shoulder tackle that crushes Trent. Trent is able to have kick out and has fight left inside of him, but Wolfgang is struggling with his back and ribs now, but tries to lift Trent anyway. Trent is able to get out and hit a nasty double gold half and half suplex. That was awesome. One of the best moves of the night. Great stuff by Trent Seven. Wolfgang is able to counter the next attack, however, slamming Trent down hard. Both men are now hurt, and Wolfgang's really struggling, but is the first one up. Trent hits a huge kick to the hurt ribs, however, and Wolfgang hits him back. Then Wolfgang hits a gut buster for a 2 count. So Trent was just barely able to kick out of that one, but is showing a lot of toughness and fight and desire in this match. Wolfgang then goes up to the top rope, but is super slow to get up there because his ribs hurt. This allows Trent Seven to stop his attack with 2 chops. Trent joins him up on the ropes, but Wolfgang's able to push him off, and then Wolfgang dies off with a swanton bomb. Huge moment of the match here. Trent gets his knees up into the injured ribs of Wolfgang. Trent just simply gets up, hits a burning hammer, and it's all over with the 1, 2, 3. The winner of this match by pinfall, Trent Seven, who moves on to the second round of the NXT UK tournament, and he'll take on a severely injured with a bad knee Oliver Carter in the next round, the semifinals. So it's all looking good here for Trent Seven. The really good match here as well. I thought Wolfgang, with the whole story of falling onto the barricade with his ribs, really told a good story in this match. Wolfgang almost got the win anyway, but was never able to come back from the knees blocking the swanton bomb. That was always going to destroy his match chances. So Trent Seven really won this match without much cheating. You could say that cheap shot on the rope break is breaking the rules, but in my opinion, that's not really breaking the rules. There was no eye rakes or anything like that I remember. Basically a clean win from the biggest heel in the company, which is kind of interesting, but not every heel has to cheat. They can just have bad motivations, and then their actions and words outside of matches can make people hate them. It doesn't always have to be cheating, and I like the fact that not every heel has to win by cheating. They can wrestle clean matches here and there. There's still an out for Wolfgang to say why he lost. It's because he made the bad decision to try and stand on the barricade, which in the end cost him because he got slammed down on his ribs on there. Then Trent just basically wins a clean match. Like I said, you could say the rope break attack was not very clean, but I mean, come on, that's barely breaking the rules. And I like the fact that he won clean here. So we'll see what Trent Seven does in the next one. The other 2 matches are next week. It'll be Tyler Bate taking on Kenny Williams, and Joe Coffey takes on Mark Andrews. So kind of looks like if I had to pick, it would be Joe Coffey and Tyler Bate, which is going to be a really good match in the other semifinal. So we'll see who gets through. It'll be tough for Oliver Carter to get through Trent Seven with his bad knee, but pretty good episode of NXT UK. All 4 matches were solid. I was very impressed with Thea Hale, the 18-year-old, showing she's really great. The Eddie Dennis stuff with the Neanderthal is going to be really funny in the next few weeks. But the huge problem for me, not one single word about last week's scheduled main event, Miko Satomura against Saray for the NXT Women's title. That was canceled without a clear explanation as to why. If it was something about Saray couldn't travel to the UK and she wasn't there, then just tell us that. All we got was Blair saying last week, one sentence about it, saying, "Oh, the reason that you don't get your scheduled match tonight is because of me." That was the only explanation we got. We never saw the trainers checking on an attacked Miko Satomura and Saray. And then this week, Miko and Saray were never even mentioned once. So, like I said, sometimes stuff happens. Maybe Saray couldn't get there because of travel issues, but at least give us some kind of explanation. Don't just have Blair go out there, tell us it was it was me that you're not reason you're getting this. We never check in back on it. We never look at see, oh, is Mako in the trainer's room? She just been attacked with a lead pipe or something. No, instead we just get a really terrible number one contenders match in the women's division that doesn't even have a clear ending. So I know that was last week, but I was giving it maybe a week's time to really before I really get angry about it. But the fact that they didn't give us one word about it on this week's episode is just bullcrap. Like they were hyping up that match for a month. I was really looking forward to it. Like I said, maybe Saray couldn't get her flight issues or something like that. But just tell us, oh, we couldn't have the match because Saray got had flight issues, or show us something. Or you could have just did everything the same last week with Blair only mentioning in one sentence, the reason you're not getting the title match is because of me, and then follow it up this week by having Sid talk to Blair about, well, your heinous attacks against, like, we didn't even get anybody telling us that she actually attacked them. It was just because of me. So really, really bad, terrible stuff there. That's the kind of thing. If you do that, if that happens again, they're gonna really lose a lot of fans' trust. I know that NXT UK isn't the most popular brand in the WWE, but the fans that are fans of NXT UK are very diehard fans. You can't keep screwing them with doing things like that. So it's not like it's happened over and over, and we'll see if it happens again. But if this happens again, you're gonna start losing the trust of those fans. They're gonna stop watching. I was already less excited to tune in this week after I was the last couple months because of the fact that the thing I got excited for last week didn't happen, and they didn't even really explain why it didn't happen. So, like I said, the 4 matches tonight were fine. The stuff with the Miko Saray stuff, whatever. Maybe they'll finally give us an explanation next week or something. Next week it looks pretty good with those 2 title matches. We'll probably see something more with Chase U and Eddie Dennis and Neanderthal. We'll probably check in with Shaw Samuels, who we didn't check in with this week. And then maybe some other stuff with the tag division. We still got Josh Briggs and Brooks Jensen with the NXT UK tag titles. They defended them once in the NXT 2.0 against Pretty Deadly, and then they've defended them once here in NXT UK against Wild Boar and Mark Andrews. So it'll be interesting. I'm surprised that they still have the titles, to be honest, but they've done a good job as champions, and hopefully they can have the match on NXT UK pretty soon. Also, we've got the Noam Dar Mark Coffey rematch for the Heritage Cup. We don't know when that'll happen, maybe in like 2 weeks' time or something. But in the meantime, we got the tournament. I don't know when the second matches or second round start, but I'm guessing after next week we get the first 2 rounds. Then the next week it'll be the first semifinal, the week after the next one, and then the week after the finals, something along those lines. So something to look forward to at least. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to the Eddie Dennis Neanderthal stuff. So I'm gonna get going. Thanks for tuning in. Give me a subscribe and a like up. I do all kinds of shows on here and reviews, like every single night of G1. All 15 are up here on the review. So thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your weekend. That's about to start pretty soon, and I'll talk to you again soon. Peace.